Welcome once again to Community Focus, our public affairs program. I'm Mike Wyford with you on this Monday morning. We're talking politics this morning with the upcoming July 31st election. And this morning we're talking about the sheriff's race. And our final candidate we'll be talking to here on Community Focus is John Sisk. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, good to be here, Mike.
Thanks for being with us. We were talking off the air about how long John has been here. He's been a lifelong resident. And for those who don't know you, how about introducing yourself to our listeners, please?
Okay. John Sisk, most of my career in law enforcement here, I started off with the Hall County Sheriff's Department in 1978, worked there for 5 years, and I got out and went to business and worked. Actually, I got out, I think it was 9 years I was out after I sold my business and worked another business. Then I went back and joined the Gainesville Police Department in 1992, where I retired February the 29th to run for Sheriff of Hall County. Married to a local girl, Becky Reed from Oakwood. We live in the North Hall area. Like you said, I'm a lifelong resident, where law enforcement has been the majority of my career during my adult lifetime.
Tell us why you want to run for sheriff.
Okay. I've thought about it for years. I guess that's always a dream to hold that office if you're in law enforcement. But as the candidates started coming out and started hearing their platforms, what they wanted to do, I wasn't really satisfied with what I was hearing. And you know, like I say, I'm a lifelong resident. I don't plan on going nowhere. So I want to see a good sheriff's department, and that's the reason I decided to run, because there's some things I want to change. See, improvement for the citizens of Hall County.
Now, you mentioned you were with the City of Gainesville Police Department. Any background with the Hall County Sheriff's Department at all?
Yes, I spent 5 years with them from
Gotcha.
78 to 83.
Make sure everybody understood that right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell me about what do you think is the current state of affairs with the Hall County Sheriff's Department?
Okay, I know there's a huge morale problem right now, and I know the sheriff's campaign has a lot to do with it. Steve Crank's been in office for the last 12 years. So everybody's up in the air as what's going to happen. But the furlough situation has gotten them down. The retirement situation's gotten them down. So, you know, the morale's got to be picked up. The sheriff's department's got to go back to serving the people of Hall County and get all this back on track.
Our guest this morning on Community Focus is John Sisk, who's one of the 5 candidates running to become Hall County Sheriff. I'm Mike Wyford with you on Glory 1330's Community Focus. Let's talk about the issues facing the Sheriff's Department. The biggest has to be the budget.
Yes, it is. You talking about over a $30 million budget going into the year 2013. Hadn't seen the exact bottom line, but it's going to be over $30 million.
So when you look at the budget, what do you look at the basics of the budget and how maybe you could trim the budget?
Okay. Things I'm looking at, which number one, you got to go through the budget line by line. You got to cut out any waste, because I know the citizens of Hall County does not want a tax increase. I don't want one myself. So you got to control that budget as much as possible. After you go through line by line, which you got to control who has their hands into that budget. You can't let just anybody go grab a little bit of money to do their pet projects and all that. It has to be controlled, cut out the waste. And I think if you do that, I think you'll see some of the waste cut out of it. Maybe we can trim the budget back a little bit, and in that way, then we can start looking at the employees. You know, I know the new budget's going to only have 3 furlough days, but I think all furlough days needs to be gone, and then maybe get back on track of getting them back into a retirement system.
I've been talking to the different candidates, both sheriff and also for the county commission, and I think everybody realizes is that there were furlough days in the system, but really for the sheriff's department and also for the fire services is that it really didn't take place because you end up having to take men and women off other shifts and basically pay them time and a half to take up for those furlough days. And there was a lot of money right there.
You're exactly right. I think there's been money wasted on time and a half, because I know in the dispatch system and sheriff's department system, I mean, when you're housing 1,000 prisoners, you got to feed them, clothe them, house them daily. You've got to have people there to maintain them. So if you furlough somebody, you can only cut it so thin. So once you get so thin, you know, they've had to bring people in overtime. And the expense they've paid for time and a half, I think will have paid for the furlough days.
When we look at, you mentioned the jail, for example, there, what's your outlook right now when it comes to the jail and how that can be maybe managed better?
Okay. Several things in which I know they're presently doing the boarding system. one problem I see, I'm not against the boarding system. I think that's possible to do that to help the county in general. But one of the problems we're having right now is that the Fulton County prisoners, they have no control over who they bring up here. Most of the problems going on in the jail right now, as far as instances where there's fights and things like that, is coming from the Fulton County prisoners. So that needs to be looked at. There needs to be a control put on that, so you've got some type of control on who you're housing, so you can control that situation.
And also with the level of severity of the crimes that have been committed by these inmates, I think a lot of people in the listening area don't really understand how far it goes from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Exactly. I've heard there's been a lot of violent incidents between them and the the officers that's working inside the jail. And also, I'm hearing now that you're starting to see them come back up because they're making local connections and committing other crimes in our community. So you got a twofold situation there. You got the instance in the jail, and then you got when they come back to Hall County to perform other crimes.
One thing I've spoken to the different candidates, too, is about the fact that, yes, the jail seems to be a moneymaker for Hall County, but is that really the purpose of the jail?
No, it's not. In all my years in law enforcement, I've always been told that law enforcement is not there to make a profit. I know, bottom line, things does come down to money, but I don't think that's the way you've got to look at it. You've got to look at it as performing the job that's got to be done. The sheriff's got to take care of the jail. He's got to take care of the courts. And since Hall County is patrolled by the deputies, like, Athens Clarke County has a county police.
Right.
Gwinnett County has county police. There, you take away that function, but Hall County has to control it all. So, you've got to look at all the functions. You've got to look at it as three separate components and take care of all those needs, because patrolling and investigations is just as important as the jail and the court system. Are
you in favor of a countywide police department, since you served with the Gainesville Police Department under Frank Cooper, for example? Would you like to see that, maybe the county sheriff department go to taking care of the courts and the jail?
From my experience, I've never seen that work. Athens Clarke County, they've had it for several years, but they've had a lot of conflict. It's hard to take two entities and put them together and make it work. If it ever comes about in Hall County, there's going to be some difficult decisions made as far as who does what and all that. But I really don't see it happening anytime in the near future.
Of course, the voters have to vote on that in the future anyway.
Exactly. It'd be up to them.
Tell me about, if you were elected sheriff, how would you work with the different municipalities with your background with the Gainesville City Police Department, same thing with Oakwood and Flowery Branch?
Okay. What I'd want to do, I'd want to do a team approach. Set up with all the municipalities and maybe have monthly, quarterly meetings where we sit there and talk about issues, things that we need to fix or things that's going right. To me, communication is the only way you're going to solve these problems. If you don't talk to each other, you'll never solve them. So I think that's the key thing, is getting together and talking about the issues.
Also, when it comes to the point of just flat-out geography, first off, yes, Hall County is a big county, but with annexation, it's difficult to know who serves where a lot of times.
It is very hard to know who serves what because of the islands of the city. Mm-hmm. I can't speak as much for Flowery Branch and Oakwood, but I know the city of Gainesville, you got islands everywhere because, you go down Poplar Springs Road, you go down McEver Road to almost Stevens Road. It's very, very broke up. Mm-hmm. So it is hard.
Right around here, for example.
Yes, you're in and out, right where we're sitting at here. So you have to know. There are features. Technology helps because before I left the police department, I had a mobile data system in my car, and the mapping system is great because it breaks it down real well. So it is easy to determine that, but it take time and years of out here being on the road knowing what's in, what's out.
But does it also have to be like the fire department with the way they work together, almost a first responder type of situation?
You do. They have agreements to, if they're needed, they'll go into each other areas and help out. Their agreement isn't as comprehensive as fire departments because, if I remember right, the fire department says if it's a county location but it's closer to the city's going to respond automatically. Mm-hmm. That don't happen that way in law enforcement. The sheriff's department would have to either call the police department or police department calls and have to ask for help for that compact to go into place. But I think overall they do. They work pretty well together. I mean, bottom line, if you got an officer out there that's in trouble, everybody's going to get there to try to help him, regardless of the boundaries.
Our guest this morning on Community Focus is John Sisk, who's running to become the new Hall County Sheriff. Here on Glory 1330, we update you with Community Focus 5 times each week, Monday through Friday. You also can hear this interview and the other interviews from the other candidates on our website at glory1330.com. Go to our homepage, click on the Community Focus tab, and you get a chance to hear all the interviews. You get a chance to really learn more about the candidates and get ready to vote. Now, early voting takes place on July the 9th, and the election takes place on July 31st, a possible runoff after that from that standpoint. Bottom line, as you said a moment ago, what is the state of Hall County when it comes to the safety of the citizens?
Okay. Overall, I think they do a pretty good job. I mean, there's always places that it can be improved. I mean, enhance the patrol, getting the officers back out into the community more. I don't think there's as good of connection of the deputies knowing the people in their community or the district they're working as it should be. That needs to be improved. But, I mean, bottom line, if a citizen needs help and they call, somebody's going to be there.
When we look at the problems facing us here in Hall County, and there's several from the standpoint like any other community, one I keep hearing over and over and over again is about the drug problem we have here.
Yes. We have a bad drug problem, have had it for a year. Crystal meth has really taken over the drug market, which some of that's imported from Mexico, South America area, and some of it is made from chemicals right here in houses and apartments. I mean, that's some bad stuff. I think we need to continue to fight that fight. I don't know of anything worse for the kids of our community, for them getting hold drugs. I mean, I've seen so many kids, their lives have been destroyed that really had bright futures by getting into drugs and the effects of it.
And then that ends up being a social issue, but that's one of the main things you have to work with as a part of the Sheriff's Department.
It is, yes. It's like anything else. Arrest isn't always the primary concern. I mean, you've got to fix problems. Another issue we're facing right now is the mentally ill. We don't have many options for that. And, to either carry them to the emergency room or to carry them to jail is not enough options. We got to find ways to deal with them better. Our homeless is increasing in the area. I mean, average citizen probably don't see them as much, but if you go certain parts of towns, you know where to look. I mean, it's tremendous the number of homeless that we have in our area. And in the homeless is the people that are mentally challenged, because all that just kind of goes together.